of the Middle Eastern persuasion, he did not do diapers. I think he would have fainted if he had to change a diaper, but he might have. But one time some ladies I was friends with, they said, we'd like you to join the Cornell Wives Club. It's a very nice group of ladies. We meet once a month, and we have cake and coffee, and we talk about what it's like being a Cornell wife. We meet at somebody's home, and we'd like you to join us. So, of course, I went. And I went with a friend whose husband came, so he and Nick had to watch Gloria for the evening. So we had a nice time, and when we got home, I could hear the screaming from down the hall. And Nick was sitting, I think he had plugs in his ears, I'm not sure. And had this poor little baby, and he couldn't do anything to make her stop crying. And he was looking like really stormy, because how dare you go and leave me with this child? I can't make her stop crying. What am I going to do? So I don't think I went very often to the Cornell Wives Club. But I had probably left a bottle and it didn't work, or she didn't want the bottle or whatever. And my mother's suggestion was that babies need water to drink. So you always have a bottle of water. And I think it's a good idea, but some pediatricians say, you know, they're just sucking air and that's going to make their tummy hurt. So I don't know. I always had a water bottle close by, and she still loves water.
That's true. Got my start early.
Mm-hmm. But, you know, you live through it. You learn by doing. And then the next baby, well, that's a different thing. That's a different kid. It's a different a different gene pool or whatever.
So how long did you stay at Cornell?
Well, we moved. I think Gloria was about probably 19 months old when we moved to.
Was she talking?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
And walking?
And she said, "Oh yeah."
How old was she when she did that?
I think Gloria. I've got that written down someplace in a baby book. All my children were very precocious. They did things according to what it said in the book. You know, they would sit up if they were at a certain age, and they always did it before that cutoff time. And you let them have a certain amount of freedom. You know, if they want to pull themselves up and take a few steps, you let them. So they kind of teach them. They learn by doing. And I think she had her first birthday in our apartment in Ithaca, because I have pictures of Carlton, who came down with my mother. Remember those pictures with the little cake and the one candle? And then for the second birthday, we were in Croydon, Pennsylvania. We'd moved to Croydon and had the job at Roman Haas.
So what can you tell us about that move when you did that? So you went to Cornell and then you went to Croydon?
Well, he got a job. They, as I told you, he was working on his master's degree, which he got. And then he was doing work on his PhD, which involved a lot of research. And this job offer came, and one of his professors showed it to him. And they needed somebody to do research for a man who was going blind. He couldn't see what he was doing anymore, couldn't read or write. So they thought Nick would be good, and offered a pretty good salary. And
what exactly, sorry, we didn't cover this. What was Nick studying exactly? Chemistry.
Chemistry and physical chemistry and monomers and polymers, which are like plastics.
Okay.
I think. I don't know. But anyway, this job came for Nick to be the eyes and hands and ears of Frank Glavis. So they suggested that he take it because it sounded good, and they knew that we were having a lot of trouble financially, and it would be a couple more years before he'd get the PhD. And what more good would it do him in terms of the job market? He wasn't going to be a teacher. So he decided to take it, and it was a good move because he got into Roman Haas that way. That was his first job at Roman Haas. And Frank Glavis was, I don't know what work exactly he was doing, because we never talked about work. I don't think he thought I would understand it. He never told me what he was doing. But we did meet Frank Glavis, and his wife was very nice, and he was pretty ill. He had diabetes. And so we found an apartment in Croydon, and Nick went ahead.
Where was Croydon? Is that Pennsylvania?
It's within commuting distance of Philadelphia.
Okay.
It's in Bucks County.
Okay.
And Nick was, he first of all went and lived in Philadelphia in a rented room. And I went to live with Aunt Mary and Selma in Brooklyn, just for temporary quarters, until he could get. So every weekend he'd drive from Philly to Brooklyn. And
did you have a car?
He did. My mother bought it for us. Bless her heart. She bought that car for a selfish reason, because when we were in Ithaca, we could drive to Brant and bring Gloria and see her. So
what kind of a car was it?
It was a Chevy.
What color?
A kind of a turquoise blue. And she bought it from a cousin. I think maybe one of the Brinkmans had a car dealership. So she bought it, gave it to us, and probably couldn't even afford it. But she was selfish in that she wanted us to come and see her. So we did.
Probably Daddy couldn't even drive then, right?
Oh, he could drive, but we when you're in a town like Ithaca, you have no need of a car because you have a good bus. You can always get on a bus, go places, or walk.
Yeah.
You do a lot of walking. So anyway, we lived in Croydon, but he was living in Philadelphia, and he'd come to Brooklyn and he'd say, "Oh, that Philadelphia, that is so, they're way behind the time. Why, they still have gas street lights," which is true, they did. Like the days of the lamplighter, and the street lights were gas fired, and he just thought Philadelphia was the pits. He didn't like it at all, but he came to Brooklyn every weekend to see us, to see his mother and his brothers and whatever. And of course he'd inject a little money into their economy because Mitchell wasn't working. Nick's mother was a widow, and so their money was tight.
Wait,
and
Mommy, tell when Tofik died. When did Daddy's father die?
Well, the first Christmas we were married in, what year was it? 1946? What year were you born?
47.
So we were married in 46. And Nick had a really good friend in the chemistry who actually got his PhD, Eddie Weinstein. Later he changed his name because he was discriminated against because he was Jewish. So Eddie Weinstein was crazy about Nick. They were such good friends. So he always enjoyed Nick's company, and he invited us to drive to Brooklyn with him for the Christmas holidays. So I sat in the back seat with baby Gloria on my lap, and a lot of bottles and blankets and everything. So we got to Brooklyn, and
how long was the ride?
How
long was the ride?
Well, how long does it take to go from Ithaca to 6 or 7 hours?
Oh, wow. Okay.
But Gloria was perfect. She never peeped or anything. She's a really good traveler. So we got to Gehshan's house on 86th Street. We walked up the stairs. They were